You know that one problem? The one that seems so simple, but it just never goes away? The kind of challenge that just keeps popping back up no matter what you throw at it? Well, it turns out that sometimes the most stubborn problems have surprisingly simple solutions. And we're about to look at one of the most effective and simple tools for finding them.
And we're going to start in a place you might not expect. A kindergarten classroom. Just imagine that moment when playtime ends. You know, that controlled chaos. The goal is simple, right? Get a room full of 5-year-olds to clean up their stations. But as any teacher or parent out there knows, simple definitely doesn't mean easy.
So check this out. This is the actual work from that kindergarten class. They were facing this messy classroom problem, and instead of just getting a lecture, they all got together and literally mapped out the problem. And the key thing here, this wasn't a diagram made for them, it was a diagram made by them. It was their tool to figure out what was really going on.
And that really brings us to the heart of the matter. Whether it's a messy classroom, or for you, maybe it's a recurring bug in your code, or a team that just can't seem to hit its deadlines, the underlying challenge is usually the same. How do you get to the root of a problem that just refuses to quit?
Well, the answer for this classroom, and honestly for countless other teams, is all about creating a simple map. It's a way to actually see the journey from where you are right now to where you really want to be. And the tool they used? It's called a bone diagram.
So what is this thing exactly? Well, at its core, a bone diagram is just a super simple map for thinking and planning. It's designed to cut through all the noise and make two things crystal clear. First, where are we right now, and where do we actually want to be? And second, what's helping us get there and what's holding us back?
And the structure? It's brilliantly simple. Down in the bottom circle, you've got your current state. That's reality, right now. Up in the top circle, that's your ideal state, your goal. Now, the forces pushing you up towards that goal, those are your drivers. And the things pulling you back down, holding you in place, those are the barriers. It's like a visual tug of war for progress.
And making one is just as straightforward. Step 1, you just brainstorm everything about your current situation. Step 2, you dream a little to find that perfect ideal outcome. And step 3, you identify the drivers pushing you forward and the barriers holding you back. That's it. It's a conversation starter, a really powerful way to get everything out on the table. But here's the thing, and this is absolutely crucial. The bone diagram isn't just some clever graphic you fill out and then forget about. No way. Its real power comes from the culture that you build around it. It's really just one piece of a much, much bigger idea. And that big idea is building a culture of continuous improvement. See, the school district that uses this tool, they have a whole philosophy built around this because they know a tool is only as good as the mindset of the people who are using it.
Okay, so the very first principle is collaboration. It's this core belief that we are just better together. And if you think back to that kindergarten example, it worked because everyone, even the 5-year-olds, had a voice in it. Real improvement only happens when you bring all the voices to the table.
The next principle is fail forward, and this one is huge. It's the idea that real, meaningful improvement can only happen when people feel safe enough to take risks. In a culture like this, failure isn't something you're afraid of. It's seen as a catalyst for growth. You take away the fear, and you open the door to some real innovation.
2 more principles round out this framework. The third one is ownership. This is the idea that it's everyone's job to improve the system they're a part of. When every person owns their role, you get this amazing collective commitment. And finally, you have cycles of improvement, which is just a reminder that this work is never really done. It's a constant process. So together, these 4 principles create the foundation for real, lasting change.
Okay, so we've seen how this whole thing works for a pretty small, tangible problem. But what happens when the challenge gets bigger? A lot bigger. Let's see how this simple little tool scales from a classroom to an entire system.
Okay, check this out. On the left, we've got the diagram about cleaning up toys. Simple enough. On the right, that's a bone diagram from a district-wide team tackling the implementation of student portfolios. I mean, the problem is exponentially more complex, with so many stakeholders and moving parts, and yet, the fundamental tool they're using to get clear is exactly the same.
And that's really the magic of it, isn't it? The power isn't in making things complicated, it's in making them clear. What this map does on a psychological level is it externalizes the problem. It takes all those swirling anxieties and different opinions out of people's heads and puts them onto a shared space where everyone can see them. It forces clarity and alignment, no matter how big the problem is.
Now, it's really tempting to see this as a one-and-done solution, right? You make the diagram, you solve the problem, you move on.
But if you did that, you'd be missing the most important part of the entire philosophy.
You see, the bone diagram is really just the beginning. It fits right into the plan phase of a much bigger cycle called plan, do, study, act. So you use the diagram to create your plan. Then you actually go and implement the changes. Next, you study the results. What worked? What didn't? You look at the real data. And finally, you act on what you learned, either making the improvement permanent or starting the whole cycle over again with new insights. It's a perpetual engine for getting better.
So, the most important takeaway is this. The goal isn't to reach some perfect final destination where all the problems are magically solved. The real goal is to be on a continuous journey of learning, adapting, and just getting a little bit better every single day.
All right, so we've gone all the way from a kindergarten classroom to a huge district-wide system, all by using one simple map. We've seen that the tool is powerful, for sure, but it's the mindset behind it that truly drives the change. So that leaves us with just one final question.
So now, think about that one nagging problem in your own work or your own life. You know, the one that never seems to go away. What would happen if you mapped it out? What's your current reality? What is your ideal state? And, most importantly, what are the real drivers and barriers that are at play? The map is simple. The only question is, what's the first step on your journey?